Sure. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning, good afternoon, maybe good evening if anyone's in Europe. There is a story about the Baal Shem Tov that a student came to him once and said, "Why is it that sometimes I feel I feel that divine presence, I feel that sense of the sacred, and I feel close to Hashem. And other times it's not there at all. I feel completely separate from it. I don't even know in my heart whether it's real." And the Baal Shem Tov said something really wonderful, I think. He said, it's like a parent teaching a toddler how to walk, and the parent holds the hands of the toddler, and the toddler.
Ryan, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna so your sound's a little low. So I just want
Oh,
to alert you so that make sure everybody can hear you clearly.
is this better? I'm coming in a little closer to the mic.
Yep, I think so.
Okay, great. So, the student asks, why is it that I feel sometimes close to Hashem and sometimes completely remote? And the Baal Shem Tov says it's like a parent holding the hands of a toddler, and the toddler walks toward the parent, and when the toddler gets close, the parent moves their hands and puts them a little bit more separate. So it's difficult. The toddler loses their balance and they have to but they can still hold on if they want to. But gradually, bit by bit, the parent takes the hands away and the child can walk on their own. And so the idea here is that we can use the experiences that we have, which are the opposite of spirituality, to help to motivate us to have persistence and to have commitment to our practice. And I thought that this theme of commitment was appropriate for Hanukkah because Hanukkah, of course, is a story about the battle. And there are two aspects of the story of Hanukkah that I think are a little bit, they're like the opposite of each other. There's a contradictory message in Hanukkah. On one hand, we have the miracle of the oil that burns for 8 days. And so the idea there is that as we put effort into our spiritual practice, what we get out of it is far greater than what we put into it. The number 8, you may know, is a number that has meaning to it. 8 represents eternity. You turn the 8 on its side, it's an infinity symbol. And so the implication is that we put in some finite amount of effort, but what we get from it is a connection to that which is not finite. At the same time, in the story of Hanukkah, before they get to the point of lighting the one day of oil and it lasts for 8 days, there's a big battle that takes much longer than that one little miracle that happens. And so it's good to remember these things, that we may go through periods of remoteness, and we don't necessarily get the positive feedback from the practice during those times. And it's so important to have this quality of commitment, which in Kabbalah is commonly associated with the sphera of Netzach, persistence. Netzach, of course, also means eternity. And so that's that connection with the number 8 and the 8 days of oil. So as we practice today, may we be reinforced, and also for Hanukkah, may we be reinforced in our commitment to practice, which in terms of meditation has to do with bringing our consciousness into connection with the fullness of what is present, of letting go of the stream of thinking, which naturally and unconsciously tends to give us that sense of separation between me and the rest of reality. We drop that by gently letting the mind relax from its thinking mode, letting consciousness merge and rest on whatever it is we're experiencing, pleasant, unpleasant, doesn't matter. And then we spend time doing that, spend time practicing that. So I want to, I'll share the screen, and begin with this chant, which is for the Sphira of Netzach, of commitment, of practice, and it's from the morning blessings, blessing the one who guides the footsteps of humanity. In other words, who gives us the strength and the discernment and the ability to have commitment to our spiritual path, or anything that we're committed to, really. Baruch Hashem HaMechin. Baruch Hashem HaMechin. That's the first part. Sing with me if you can. Baruch Hashem HaMechin. Baruch Hashem HaMechin. And the second part. HaMechin mitzadei gaver. Mitzadei gaver. Baruch Hashem HaMechin. Baruch Hashem HaMechin. HaMechin mitzadei gaver. And preparing to come into silent meditation, bringing forth the attitude of offering our attention to the fullness of this moment as it appears, to the fullness of the way Hashem is manifesting in this moment. So, best to let your body be as still as you can, unencumbered, letting your hands relax, letting your eyes relaxed, closed, or unfocused, unless you want to see some of the words I put on the screen, but you can also just listen. So bringing right hand to your heart and taking this attitude of simply offering your attention the way you would to a friend who wanted to tell you something, without expectation, without looking for some result, just giving your attention with the word lecha for you on a long out breath. Deep breath in. Lecha. And bringing left hand to your belly, right hand on your heart, left hand on your belly. Letting your awareness flow down from your mind, down into your belly, attempting to feel into your organs. You may not feel your organs actually, but you can still point your awareness downward into that area, feeling down into your belly, Feeling down from your belly, down through your legs, to your feet and toes, filling the lower part of your body with consciousness. Attention rising from your belly into your chest, upper back, shoulders and neck, flowing down through your arms and hands and fingers, connecting back to your heart and belly, resting awareness on the feeling of the flow of your breathing, the movement of your chest and belly. Awareness rising into your face, facial muscles, brain and nervous system, bringing a little smile to your lips to express this attitude of benevolent dwelling, consciousness dwelling in the temple of the body, relaxing the stream of thinking, letting go of thoughts as they come, feeling the flow of your breathing, and anchoring with Na'aseh, deep breath in, Na'aseh. And with left hand on your belly, bringing right hand to lightly touch your forehead, expanding awareness from your body out into space, into the world around you, noticing the sounds, the objects, and noticing and bringing to mind that the whole outer world and the whole inner world of thoughts and feelings are all arising, all felt within one space of consciousness, one field of awareness, and you are that field. And so affirming identity with being this field of awareness, Venishma, deep breath in, Venishma, kissing your fingers, relaxing your hands. You, Hashem, you who are inherent in all things, you who are not separate from this consciousness that we are. We chant together, Atyahu, 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 Atyahu. And just repeating Atyahu, repeating that to feel in your mind, coming into silence, just trying to let your body be as still as possible, anchoring the mind in Atyahu, noticing thoughts as they come and just letting them dissipate on their own, coming into silence for 10 minutes. Baruch Hashem Hamechi Mitzadei Amen. Taking a nice deep breath, taking a little stretch. May we be nourished and encouraged in this time of Hanukkah to enhance and grow that quality of netzach, commitment to our practice, and know that the light of the eternal is ever present for us and will come in abundance in its time if we put in the effort and make it a priority. Osei shalom bimromav, hu yasei shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'yamru amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Reb Brian, for this beautiful practice and chant. Friends, we turn to the Mourner's Kaddish and offer an opportunity for those who are in mourning or observing yard sites to recite Kaddish, and for those who are not to remain present, loving, compassionate presence for those who are invited to rise with me in body or in spirit to share the words of Kaddish.
Yekadal v'yekadash shemei rabba.
Kadash shemei rabba.
גדל והתקדש שמי רבה. העלמה דיברה כרותה וימליך מלכותה. ויחון וביומחון ובחי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן.
Yehei
שמי רבה.
Ya'akol Yisrael Shalom
כל ברכתה ושירתה וצדקתה ונחמתה עד האמירם והעלמה ואמרו יש שלמה רבה מן השמיים וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
עושה שלום במרומינו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
Friends, thank you so much for joining us as always for this this last sit of this week. And those who are able and are interested are welcome to stay on for a conversation with Brian Yosef Schachter-Brooks about today's teaching and practice. And for those who are leaving us, just a reminder, we will not be meeting, of course, tomorrow or Friday. You can make use of the recordings on our YouTube channel if you'd like for practice until we meet again live, which will be next Monday. We'll be meeting all week during the week of Hanukkah. We hope you'll join us then for a special week of practice. Thanks so much to Adi Stein for holding our tech space and Mishkan so beautifully. And if you have a question you'd like to put, just put it right in the chat box, and we'll keep an eye out for that. Any reflections on the practice? For those who are leaving us now, I want to wish you, if you are celebrate Thanksgiving, to wish you a great Thanksgiving day, a wonderful Shabbat, and a Chag Urim Sameach. May the inner and outer lights burn brightly for you throughout Hanukkah, throughout the infinite days of Hanukkah. I really love that, Brian. The 8 on its side as the infinity symbol. That was great. So I always like to just kind of recapitulate the teaching a little bit, and then maybe explore, how we carry that forward. it was really informative for me, and a chiddush to it, to think about associating. It may not be a really a new teaching. For me, it was a new teaching to associate that quality of netzach, of endurance, of commitment. I think what was the word? Use commitment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was also thinking, of course, since Hanukkah means dedication, that works too, right?
Yeah.
Constant dedication, rededication. And I really appreciated, your insight that that the rewards of practice are disproportionate. That we get more back than what we put into it if we put the effort into it. And it's a perfect Hanukkah teaching. I just love that, Frank. I really love that. Thank you so much. I wonder if you would be willing to speak a little bit personally about how that, when you say that, you get more back than what you put into it. I was wondering if you might speak a little bit personally, because it's always wonderful to hear from our teachers, how this works in their own life. And maybe it gives you a chance also to tell us a little bit of your story. How do you have that? How do you see that in your own experience, of what you get back from practice? Would you say from the effort
Well,
that you put in?
I feel that the two sides of the Hanukkah story were definitely reflected in my own life. Um, there was a time, well, when I was young, for some strange reason, I happened to be very interested in spirituality. That's not usual for most kids, as I am recognizing now with my own kids. But I had that passion for spirituality, and at a certain point in my teen years, I had an experience that showed me, what was possible. But it was an experience that didn't last. It lasted actually a few weeks, which was pretty amazing. But it was a feeling of all of the stresses and psychological burdens of being a teenager, I guess. Like, it was just all gone, and there was just this benevolent love and lightness and embrace of the moment that was just spontaneous and natural and beautiful. And then it kind of faded away. And so even though I was a seeker before, just because I was interested in spirituality, now I was really a seeker because I wanted to get that back. And so I spent many years, but the years were, I feel like, in a sense, the years were kind of committed and kind of wandering in the wilderness, because I was committed in the sense that I kept searching, and I was doing various practices, meditation, along with certain traditional Jewish practices. I wasn't brought up religious as a Jewish religious person, but I was really learning and taking those things on during that time. But because I wasn't feeling an obvious payback from it, I kept wavering. So there'd be stretches of time where there'd be nothing, and I'm sure folks can relate to this.
Mm-hmm.
But the years went on, and at a certain point, I remember there was a point in my life where I said to myself, I've been doing this for so many years, and I have to really be committed to it. It's like either I'm going to do it all the way or I'm not going to do it, but I shouldn't be this waffling kind of half-assed thing. And at that point, when I made that commitment in myself, something actually changed really quickly. So I assume that the reason it changed quickly was not just because of the commitment, but was because I had been doing practice for years, just not always on a regular basis, but it was cumulative. And when I made that commitment in that time, that was in 1998, in October of 1998, I remember. It was something transformative happened that didn't go backwards the way it did the first time. And it did feel like it did feel in a way like Hanukkah, like the 8 days when I only put in 1 day, because what I got from it was a connection to reality beyond myself and beyond my own effort, and also beyond the normal sense in which I experience myself, which nowadays when I teach that I try to remind people that we are much more than our sense of personality, our thoughts and our feelings and so on. And that there's a vastness that's there. We may not experience it in the moment, but we can experience it. And that's what the point of practice is to tap into that depth of spaciousness and potential that's there. So that feels like something infinite because it doesn't have any boundary, it doesn't have any border. It's, the world beyond our five senses is not something we can conceive of with our mind. It just goes on, and so we open to that vastness and turn the one day into the eternal, in a sense.
It's a good question. This is a question that was coming up for me too. Amen to everything you said, and thanks for sharing. Of course, now I'm curious. I want to hear more. But there is a question about, when how do we hold on to the commitment? This is from Susan. How do we hold on to the commitment when during times of grief and loss that can feel so huge and take up so much internal space? I might just expand the question to, when, like you mentioned, when nothing seems to be happening, or, we're stuck or numb or whatever. Sometimes makes meditation really challenging.
Yes.
And hard to tap into that external spaciousness.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I can speak to that from a recent experience, actually, because I mentioned to you before we started, I actually fell after Yom Kippur. I fainted, probably because of not enough water, and I didn't drink water right away after the fast. And I fainted, and I smashed my face, and I got a concussion. And I'm doing well now, thank God. Everything is healing up. The doctors are happy the way it's moving. But for some time, I had to just let go of a lot of what I normally do, both in terms of practice and in terms of learning. And the reason I had to let go of it was because of the complexity of it. Judaism can be very complex, obviously, and so there's a lot of different things, a lot of different prayers and blessings and tefillin and different things. And I did have to, for a short time, let go of a lot of that before I could start adding it back again. But the one thing I didn't let go of was plain, simple meditation. That I don't think I even missed one day, because when I was doing that, and even now, because I'm still not fully recovered, it's the one thing that I did that I could absolutely feel that it was healing to myself. It was healing my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so my feeling about times that are difficult, whether it's physically difficult or times of grief and loss, is that it's really important to have it in your habit, in your routine, to be doing that meditation, because then it will stay with you regardless of what's going on. You may not, all the complicated rituals and prayers and stuff might not stay with you because it's just too much, but you can at least keep that connection with the spaciousness of consciousness and the healing energy that comes from that. And it'll be healing in grief, regardless of the way that life tosses us around and deals us blows and so on. It's so important to be able to tap into that spaciousness, but that's really dependent on making sure that we do it when we're not in grief and loss also, so that we can have that, establish that habit, and our bodies can be used to feeling the nurturance and nourishment of what meditation offers us.
That's really helpful. So before we end, I really can't, first of all, Refuah Shlema, may the healing continue and to fullness and completion. And second of all, I feel like I can't not ask this question, because I've been listening to this quite amazing audio book of Malcolm Gladwell interviewing Paul Simon about his musical career, and it's mostly about it's basically about the creative process. And since I know you're a musician, and like these chants that you share with us are your composition, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I feel like, all right, I got to sneak in a question here about what that process is like for you to discern and be a conduit for that chant. the word we use is compose, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have 3 minutes here to reflect for us on maybe the connection also, like what's the nature of that practice?
Well,
Because
there
if
are
someone
two.
who doesn't do that, it's really like just so fascinating to me, and I feel like I can only get it vicariously by hearing people who have the gift, share that.
Well, there are two parts to it. The first part is really simple, and I think anybody can start to do it, which is that we have this gift in our tradition, at least in the Hasidic side, of these nigunim that have become very popular, and it's a practice for many of us on Shabbat and so on to sing nigunim. And I just encourage anyone who's interested in this to let yourself sing. Don't it doesn't have to have the goal of composing a chant or something like that, but just letting melodies come to you and singing them out and letting them form. It happens very naturally and spontaneously. And so when I compose these chants, I have an idea of the tefillah that I want to use, the theme or whatever, and I'll take those words and let them bounce around my mind and start singing with different melodies, and it's just very simple like that. The second part, though, which is a little bit more technical musically, is that over the last year, the past Jewish year, I did a class on the 32 paths, so the 10 sefirot and the 22 Hebrew letters, and I noticed that there were 31 different scales. If we alter the notes, the flat 2, the sharp 4, if we do all the different permutations, keeping the fifths consistent and the 1 consistent, obviously, then you get 31 different scales. So I decided to correspond those 31 scales with the 32 paths, plus I added another scale that you can create by flatting the 5. Anyway, I had to that took a little more work because I had to sing the scales, and they're very unusual sounding. You may have noticed the one we were singing today had that one note in it that was a little weird sounding. So
Yeah.
I tried to create melodies that, even though they were tonally not what our ears are used to in Western music, in Indian music they use all these different notes. So I tried to create as natural of a sounding thing that people could sing, even
Mhm.
though we were singing. So it helps develop new neural connections in the mind, and develops your ear too in a musical way. It
Mhm.
does things to your brain to sing these different permutations, which is
Mhm.
nice.
Well, I'm really glad I asked that question. We'll have to continue this. And I really recommend this conversation, that book. It's really, I
Oh,
mean,
you have to check
you
that out.
mentioned the ear, in terms of engaging our senses as a means to, cultivating the sense of a spaciousness
Yeah.
that you're describing. It's really like, feels like such a beautiful, essential and beautiful aspect of practice that, of course, a lot of people bring to our daily set, singing and chanting. But I really appreciate that, your gift, Brian, and your willingness to share that. I put in the chat box, by the way, the link to Tour of Awakening, which is Reb Brian's community, which is primarily online, but also local, or no, all online.
It's mostly online, but we do some live things in the California Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area
Right.
sometimes.
Although now you're in
Less
Arizona.
during COVID. Yeah, I live in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay. Okay. Well, wishing you and everyone a happy Thanksgiving, a Shabbat Shalom,
Yeah, happy
and a
Thanksgiving.
Chag Urim Sameach. May we continue to, I just want to thank you for your dedication, commitment, the energy, the netzach that everyone brings to this practice together. And we're all strengthened and we all get rewards from it. It's not just for the individuals who engage, but all of us. So thank you, Reb Brian, and thank you, Adi. And thanks especially to all of you for that beautiful dedication and devotion to this practice. And may it yield many blessings going forward.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
everyone, be well. Happy Thanksgiving. See you soon.
Happy Thanksgiving. Good job.